Hello, I'm Lynn Kane, and this here is my first block of the month called Woodland Holidays. I love Christmas. I think about it all year long. But when you're a stitcher or a quilter, you know that putting a lot of work into a project only to be up for a month or so can be disappointing. So I've made this so it's meant to stay up through part of the winter. First off, here is my lantern block, where I've added some dimensional stitching so that you know it's a candle inside. And I've used a French knot on either end of the clasp of the lantern. Over to the left-hand border, we have my very favorite, the red belly woodpecker, all the way down to the titmouse. I do so enjoy seeing these birds at my feeders outside. A little extra stitching here and there gives you dimension. Another of my favorite blocks here is the cardinals. This is one of my original blocks, and again, I hate just to see an outline of a tree, so I like to add dimensional stitching to the tree and to its branches. And then just a little something to show evergreens off into the field. This border has a white-breasted nuthatch, a bird that regularly travels going forward down trees. Very interesting to see. And then my little chickadee. I also enjoy adding pine boughs and pine cones of various sizes and shapes. The next block is my holly wreath. I love holly, and though it does look a little Christmassy, I don't feel it screams it. Instead of using French knots, I outlined the circles and then used a stem stitch to fill each one of these in. I wanted them to be pronounced in this pattern. Along the bottom, you'll see that I've added a little chipmunk. I live out in the country. We've got lots of chipmunks, and he's getting ready to nibble on his acorn. The dark brown stripe in it is another technique where I use little X's to give that dimension. And notice I filled in the eyes and did a great little nose for him. Over to the mourning dove. One of my favorites. I love to listen to the mourning doves. They're just wonderful. And they're ground feeders. So whatever falls from the bird feeders down to the ground is what they eat. Up here at the top is the rose-breasted grosbeak, male and female pair. They're wonderful to watch, particularly when they're breeding. They feed each other. They have quite a song. To offset all of the stitching, I added the Ohio star. Just a little extra pop of color. We have a white star. When I assembled the inside of the quilt, I added a 1.5 inch sashing around it to finish setting it off from the borders. The border then was a 3-inch border. And just because I love to add unique finishes, I added a flange. A flange is nothing to be scared of. It's simply a piece of fabric, a strip of fabric, folded wrong sides together. In this case, I chose 1¼ inches, folded it together, ironed it, and stitched it along the very edge of the quilt. It just adds a little extra pop, I think. And then I added the binding. As you can see, this is not quilted yet. In future videos, you will see Karen Dorman She's going to be the one who quilts it, and she'll walk you through the journey of selecting appropriate quilting patterns to go along with embroidery stitching. Thanks so much for joining me.